Hi guys, Nyko here from Nyko Property. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the director at Nyko Property and I'm going to be taking you through a bi-weekly blog. We're going to be running through this video series. Our updates that are coming out to you guys every 2 weeks are going to have this video blog on them along with our current projects that are available and the availability in those and also our current next event in your hometown. So in terms of the year ahead for property and Nyko and what we're going to look at in terms of projects is really the story of 3 cities, and it's all across the eastern seaboard. Look, certainly the data points to Melbourne and Sydney with the economic drivers in the services sector really pushing the economy along. So we've gotten away from the resources sector and now turning our economies really pushing towards the services sector. And of course Melbourne and Sydney are the strongest in those 2 sectors, and that's why the GDP in our locations is growing the best. So we still see those 2 cities in moving forward, probably in the best rate of growth throughout the next year. Brisbane is also an area of interest for us. The economic growth, not as good as Melbourne and Sydney, but certainly the population growth is very, very strong. And there's a good story to be told in terms of infrastructure in that city as well. So when it comes to Melbourne, we'll be really selective about the types of property that we take on. Although we don't believe in the oversupply myth that's happening, especially in the news now about Melbourne, although certain pockets are, of course, oversupplied, the areas that we've always recommended have never been. So in saying that, we're still not going to recommend a lot of apartments. So we're going to be very careful about the apartment developments that we take on in Melbourne. We're talking about the little boutique blocks only, larger apartments, 2 and 3 bedroom with the larger 1 bedrooms that are going to really suit the owner occupier into the future. We'll also be looking at quite a lot of house and land and townhouse developments, so the infill townhouse stuff that we're so well known for in the past we'll still be doing, as well as some really selective house and land packages as well. When it comes to Sydney, although we'd love to do more in Sydney this year, we think Sydney this year is going to be very similar to the years before, the last couple of years anyway, where it's going to be very, very difficult for us to get a project at valuation price in the right area. So really the value is the problem in Sydney at the moment. We still think there's some areas that have got some room to grow, and we're building some good stock coming through, some little nice boutique developments. However, developers just aren't willing to sell at valuation, and that's a deal breaker for us. You know, good property that's not at valuation is not a good property anymore, especially when you're overpaying. Brisbane, on the other hand, some really good opportunities. Probably, medium term, the city with the most opportunity out of all 3. We're looking at some nice townhouse developments, infill townhouse developments starting in the 300s, would you believe? High 300s in Brisbane. We're also looking at quite a lot of house and land, but really in the inner side of Brisbane, so 15, 20 kilometres out. Yes, you can get house and land 15, 20 kilometres out in Brisbane, and that's what we'll be looking at mostly in those areas. Again, very selective about apartments, but we will be looking at some inner northern corridor, some apartments in that area as well that we believe will be really, really good for growth. So that's it for today, guys. You'll be getting one of these every 2 weeks, like I discussed. You'll also be getting an email, which will contain this video, along with our stock list and the events that are in your area. Your relationship manager will be giving you a call over the next few days as well. So please answer that call, have a chat to them, and we'll be in touch very soon. Thanks very much.